welcome to another great podcast. This is Satavisa. For today's podcast, we have with us Rohan Joshi, the CEO and co-founder of Wolken Software. Hello, Rohan. Welcome to Analytics Insight. It's great to have you here.
It's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Now, please tell us a little about Wolken Software and how did this journey start?
Sure. Vulcan was started by myself and my co-founder, Sudhir Prabhu. So we both were colleagues at L&T, Larsen & Toubro Infotech. We were together there as senior vice presidents from 2004 to 2011. Whilst we were there, we had fairly strong revenues. We had a book of about $100 million each, and we had close to 1,000 people reporting to us. However, we always had this entrepreneurial bug in us. So we decided sometime late 2011 to start something on our own. And at that time, we were seeing that the particular market for what we are doing right now, which is the service desk, customer service at the enterprise level, was ripe for what I would call as disruption. And we decided we will try our hand at it. However, we were not sure initially how to go about it. So we decided to take some baby steps. We had a product idea in mind. So we decided that, with this product idea, if we actually go and meet a few CIOs, chief information officers of large enterprise companies with whom we had worked in our previous avatar, it could be an idea where they could validate if what we were doing is right or wrong. Because left to us, since it's our idea, everything is great. But we need to get a reality check even before we decided to write the first line of code. So armed with just a prototype and the let's say the workflow, we went and met close to 100 CIOs around the world, in India, in Europe, in the US, in Canada, in Singapore, etc., even in Australia. And they validated it and they said, it is kind of doable, but they were not sure about the total addressable market. So that is one thing that we wanted to have a clarity on, because, if it's a great product, a great idea, but the market size is very small, and if the competitors are kind of occupying about 90% of it, then even if it's a great idea and it's validated, it will fall flat on its face. So we decided that it's better to check on, the total addressable market that we have and what is it that is available to us. So that took us about a year to figure out. Because, we went to Gartner, we went to Forrester, we went to quite a lot of these publications, and finally we got a number, which was a pretty large number. So that sort of said, okay, there is scope for another player here. So that is when we decided we'll plunge into it. So this entire pre-planning process took about 2 years for us to kind of decide what to do. And I think, that has paid off tremendously for us. Thanks.
Well, that sounds really interesting. Thanks for telling me this story. Now, I'm curious to know, how is Vulcan planning on aiding small and medium Indian businesses?
Yeah, good question, because what we did initially was to focus on the large enterprise market around the world. When I say large enterprise market, I'm talking about Fortune 500 prospects. So SME market was not on our initial agenda. And so that was largely because both Sudhir and I have worked only in the enterprise space globally. So we first did not know the Indian market well, though both of us are Indians and both of us have, are born and brought up here, have done our education here. But still, because our work was largely export focused in our previous avatar, we had very little idea about the Indian market. So we actually struggled, suffered. We met again a few prospects in India, and Indians are very critical about what they want. They know exactly what they want and at what price they're willing to pay for it. All that. So we decided sometime early 2020 that we should actually create a market just for the SME sector in India and a couple of other countries. So we came out with a self-service product called Vulcan Care, which we launched in 2021 December, early December. And, so it's been about 7 or 8 months. And today we have close to about 50 to 60 medium-sized enterprises on this platform. Not exactly small, but medium-sized. And when I talk about medium-sized, I talk about companies which have a revenue of around, say, $300 million US dollars to about $1 billion. So it's still catering more to the medium size, not so much the small. So right now we are kind of, working on the same product works for a small enterprise as well. It's just that our messaging so far has been more for the medium sized. So we are looking at making the product now. We've already started work on it in the month of April to make the messaging clear for the small enterprise. And when I say small enterprise, it also includes the Kirana store, friendly neighborhood stores, etc. So that's something that the product is now morphing itself into. Thank you. I hope I've answered your question there.
Yeah, that sounds really great. Now, I would like to know your opinion on the global impact of COVID-19 on cloud market size.
So if you look at what happened in the early 2020, there was a bit of a shutdown because people did not know which way the market was going to go. So if you take March 2020 till August or September 2020, actually, globally we thought the market would collapse. But I think the resilience was shown by a large number of companies, and the market kind of stabilized after September. And we saw, growth happening from, say, September, October 2020 till the start of the Ukraine war. That was something that, sustained the market, because there was always need for technology products, because, there was a lot of companies decided to work from home. So you saw organizations like Zoom and, enterprise collaborations suites actually take off. You also saw e-commerce taking off. Of course, hospitality industry was hit, and hotels were running empty. But the restaurant business and the e-commerce business, the food delivery business, and Dunzos of this world, they actually kept everybody afloat. So the Dunzos and others in India and their equivalents in the rest of the world. So actually, from September 2020 till the start of the Ukraine war, we saw that the market actually expanded rather than contracted. And it expanded quite well for guys like us because we were focused on the mid-sized market as well as the large markets. Who suffered most were actually the small ones. But they have seen a comeback in later part of 2021. And we hope that, the war and various other, let's say, impediments like high inflation, high oil price, etc., will not dampen the market to the level that a recession sets in. And I think most of the countries in the world are taking note of that, and they're working towards keeping their economy afloat and growing. And I think, that's one way of expressing growth and, ensuring that there is work for everyone and there is, most of the industries thrive. So we are seeing that in spite of all the negative news around the war and around inflation, etc. So that is something that, we are counting on growing, the growth, economic growth. Thank you.
Well, thank you for explaining that so well to me. Now, can you please tell me about the challenges that this industry is facing currently? And what do you think will be the solutions from Vulcan to resolve these problems?
So there are some where, like for instance, let me tell you, more than the Russia-Ukraine war, globally the problem is China because of the chip shortages. So if you look at, the electronic chips that are there almost in all appliances today, there is a global shortage for that. So that is because a lot of foundries which make these chips, fabs as they are called, they have kind of closed down because of the large number of COVID cases in China. And about 90% of the world's chip manufacturing is in China. And the rest is in Korea, Taiwan, etc. So, which is why I think the Indian government's idea at the start of this year to start a chip revolution, microchip revolution in India is the right thing to do, because the world requires an alternative to China. You can't be 90% dependent on one country. And if they decide that the way to tackle COVID is to close down the complete country, which is what they did, where about close to, close to 2 billion people were kept in the house in the months of March to May. So now that creates a huge problem because nobody's going to the factory to make those chips. And, the downstream effect of that was very negative or is very negative. So chips are there into refrigerators, into dishwashers, into washing machines, into cars, into aircrafts, etc., etc. Now, imagine the plight of a manufacturer of, a domestic appliance product, a television, all these guys. There is a problem because their industry suffers. So the downstream effect of all this is creating a huge problem in the Western Hemisphere, more than the problem of Russia and Ukraine war. And, it is like a perfect storm, as they say. Oil prices have risen. Because of oil prices rising, inflation has risen. Because of the chip shortage, there is shortage of work in several countries in this, in the hemisphere. So that problem can be resolved if there are alternative methods. And I think India has taken a very nice and a bold step in creating this this policy which will allow chip manufacturers, both indigenous as well as foreign, to come to India in a big way. We have seen a large number of visits by Taiwanese companies and Korean companies in the last 6 months to India. Aside from even people who are not in the chip industry in India getting into chip manufacturing, guys like Vedanta and others, which are more into aluminium, they're getting into the chip manufacturing. Why? Because they realize that the world needs chips to keep their industry going, whether it is automotive, domestic appliance, all of them are heavily dependent on chips. So I feel that the future is quite bright, because even if there is another wave of COVID and China decides to do a complete lockdown, the world is not left at their mercy. There will be quite a lot of alternatives, which will be useful for even the Western economies. So that is one of the major impediments. The second is, I think, the war that is going on between Russia and Ukraine, which has polarized the world to a large extent. And I sincerely hope and feel that there will be an end to that very soon, and normal relationships for supply of commodities, because both Ukraine and Russia are powerhouses of basic commodities, whether it is uranium for nuclear reactors, or whether it is wheat, or whether it is any other commodity, oil. I think it is important that free trade starts again, so that the prices and inflation will come down drastically. So these are the two major impediments which are there. The first is in our hands, and it has been tackled, and it's going quite well. The second is not in our hands. We can just hope and pray that better sense prevails in the rulers of Russia and Ukraine, and the war comes to a stop. Thank you.
Well, on one hand, it seems like a great growth from India's perspective, and also it seems like you people are doing a great job. Now, I want to ask you that how does Vulcan take the edge over its competitors?
So it's a good question. Our competitors are basically global. So largely American, and one of them European. We have a pretty good handle, since we were the last to come to the party. We have a pretty good handle on mistakes made by others, and we have taken a conscious attempt not to repeat those mistakes. Of course, we'll make new ones, but we have consciously avoided making mistakes which the guys did. Like, they over-engineered the product. So we decide, and it is like this. Even if you look at any of the Microsoft products, one uses about, say, 5 to 7% of the capability of that entire product. So this is actually market statistics. So all our competitors have over-engineered products. So we decided to actually simplify. We did, when I said we did the survey with CIOs before we created the product, one of the things is we sort of asked them, what are the 10 or 12 features that you use which you cannot do without? So that is something which we have focused on, and we have built a better product because of that. So our customers say the byline that we have is Wolken Software is simple, scalable, and secure. And this is a byline that has been given to us by our customers. So we are, for a marketing perspective, we have just, let's say, copied what they have told our product is about. It's better to get a customer's view on our product rather than what we think it is. So that has been the edge that we are providing over our competitors. So it's a simple product, it's a scalable product, and it's a secure product. And today, All these three features matter immensely. Simplicity, because people don't want uh, to have a very complex product where they require a PhD to solve a very simple problem, which a customer is facing. Scalability is important because in today's world, a business can go up and a business can go down, and they don't want to have any kind of investment which is locked. So they don't want to pay for something which they're not using. So that is very, very important. So scalability comes in there. And finally, we are seeing a lot of cyber criminal activities. So security becomes paramount. So every product needs to go through the rigors of security testing, cyber security testing, etc., which is what we have done. So one requires quite a lot of what are called certifications to ensure the product is ready for use even by the military of the US. So that is what we have focused on. And so simple, scalable, and secure is our mantra, which we live by every day. Thank you.
That's amazing. I wish you all the best on that.
Thank you.
Now, lastly, I want to ask you this question: is what are your future plans for Vulcan, and how the company is aiming to achieve that?
So right now, we have about close to 30 or 35 enterprise customers. We have about 30 or 35 guys on the small and medium platform called Vulcan Care. And we are growing at about, say, 50 to 60% Y on Y, year on year. So without giving away too much of the future, we are focused on ensuring that we keep the same growth rate, and perhaps we grow even more rapidly once our product is embraced by the small businesses as well. So yeah, we are a good Indian company, and we hope to remain that. All the engineering, R&D, etc., is done in India, and that is something we are proud of. And we just hope that we will keep that going. We have close to about 120 employees, and I reckon we will kind of double by the next 6 to 8 months. So that is what we are looking at. And mind you, all these guys are engineers with a great amount of skill in artificial intelligence, machine learning, etc., which is already a part of our product, but it will become a core of our product going forward. So that is yeah. In summary, I can say that core will be around artificial intelligence and machine learning. Core will be around creating a very strong demand for the small enterprise in India. The medium size is taken care of. So the small size needs to kind of, so the focused message on the marketing side will be towards that. So that is what we are looking at. Thank you.
That sounds amazing. I'm sure it has been helpful for our listeners too. Thank you, Rohan, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me, and it's a great pleasure here as well. Thank you.
Thank you.